The following training is sponsored by the Niagara Library System. We serve our member libraries in Niagara, Orleans, and Genesee counties. Please visit your local library homepage and use your library card to get access to streaming videos, downloadable music, audiobooks, ebooks, and even more from the comfort of your own home. Thank you.
Hello, welcome back. So I would like to make a quick video on the food fight that happened between Facebook and Apple. This just happened this past week, so I'm kind of just putting this out. And I took a very long article that was on the ARS Technio website by Sam Axon and chopped it way down, and we'll try and give you a rough overview. There were a lot of people who actually noticed, myself included. We were actually logged out of Facebook. I had to go and log back into it, and I don't have Apple. I have Android products, but I had to go log. I was like, well, I haven't had to log in ages. I was lucky I remembered my password. I wondered why. Here we go. All right. So again, Sam Axon says today, Apple announced plans to finally roll out its previously delayed change in policy on apps' use of IDFA, that is ID for advertisers, to track users for targeted advertising. This feature will be in the next beta release of iOS 14. And then to illustrate the benefits Apple claims the change will offer to its users, the document describes in detail a typical scenario where a father and daughter would have data about them tracked and updated while they're doing normal everyday things in the current digital ecosystem, everything from location to where you bank to what you're doing to all kinds of stuff is actually tracked on your phones through the apps. And Mr. Axon goes on to say app tracking transparency, this is introduced by Apple, will require apps to get the user's permission before tracking their data across apps or websites owned by other companies. Under settings, users will be able to see which apps have requested permission to track so they can make changes as they see fit. Apple also provided an FAQ about the feature. Among other things, it clarifies that app developers will not be able to require users to allow tracking in order for those users to gain access to the full capabilities of the app. Now, if you've ever downloaded an app and maybe it's a game or something like that, and it asks for permission to use the microphone and permission to see your storage and your data, what? Why would you need that? I mean, if you're a game, you don't need access to my camera, you don't need access to my mic. That's a problem. So the app tracking transparency says that developers must allow full access to the app without having full access to the data on the phone or the device. Seems like a good idea. Okay. Apple's initial announcement here was praised by privacy advocates and nonprofits, but publicly scorned by many ad networks. Yeah, well, because they'd be losing money. It also drew direct criticism from Facebook. Like I said, there was quite a food fight going on here, whose competitive advantage in this advertising space, its primary revenue source, is built on tracking techniques like this. We give our information to Facebook, and Facebook then takes all of that data and sells it to advertisers. That's how they make their money. Okay. Facebook has outplayed or outmaneuvered publishers and most other advertising-based businesses, except the search giant Google, to achieve dominance of the ad market by relying on this personal data tracking and targeting approach, and by leveraging users' dependence on Facebook to connect with friends, family, businesses, community, and the news. So, well, Sam Axon goes on to say, while Apple has an advertising business that competes with Facebook in some ways, it is tiny by comparison, and Apple's business model is generally not centered on advertising. However, Mark Zuckerberg went after Apple, and Zuckerberg's tactic reflects that of Epic Games, Spotify, and other companies that have recently challenged Apple's tight grip on the policies and revenue moving through its own app store, on the devices it makes, the markets and sells, as well as nascent antitrust investigations of Apple in both the United States and the European Union. So Apple has maintained a very tight grip on its app store. It is considered a walled garden, that's what it's called, and that has gone on to have antitrust litigation against it. So Apple has every incentive to use their dominant platform position to interfere with how our apps and other apps work, which they regularly do to preference their own, said Zuckerberg. But I do find that funny because Facebook will regularly try and do things for its own benefit, just like Apple is here. So, quite the food fight. I hope you found this interesting, and I tried to make it very quick. There's way more information on this if you're interested, but that's why you were logged out. So take care. Thanks. We'll see you in the next video. Bye now.